Okay, so this is the video notes for Wednesday, April 22nd. This is actually like the third time I'm now trying this video because I keep messing up so badly that I just can't fix my mistakes. So this time, the third time is a charm, right? So we are going to basically be solving quadratic equations that are trinomials, and so we're just continuing to factor trinomials, which is a skill you've been practicing for the last 2 days. So here we go. Okay, so this was example number 1, and again, you can just follow along on your notes. You can just write this down. You can always hit pause and write this stuff down in your notebook. So we're going to, it's a trinomial, so I need to expand it because I have an a value, which is 8, which is greater than 1. And anytime you have an equation that has an x squared, you have to factor in order to be able to solve it. So I need to know what adds to give me 2, but what multiplies to give me negative 24. And that would be a positive 6 and a negative 4. So of course, again, I like to put the negatives first just because then I don't make a mistake trying to not factor out a negative or forgetting to factor out a negative. All right, so now I'm going to start factoring with grouping. So that's going to give me 2, nope, my greatest common factor is 4x, and I'll be left with x minus 1. And then my greatest common factor would be a 3, that's 2x, left with 2x minus 1. See, I've already made a mistake. Okay, so now when I look at my trinomial, I have 2x minus 1 in common, and then I am left with 4x plus 3. So that's what we've been doing the last 2 days, and you would be done, but now we're solving. So now we take each one of our factors. I'm just going to write it over here so I have a little bit more room. We take each of our factors, 2x minus 1 and 4x plus 3, and I set them equal to 0. So I'm going to just walk through the steps for the rest of this just to make sure everyone's okay. So now we're looking at these as completely 2 separate equations, and you're solving each one of these equations. So 2x plus 1 equals 0, I would add 1, and then divide by 2, and I'm just going to get 1/2, and I'm going to leave it that way. 4x plus 3 equals 0, I would subtract 3, and then divide by 4, and I'm going to get negative 3/4. So x can be 1/2, and it can also equal negative 3/4. So again, that x squared lets us know that we can have 2 solutions, and you have to write both solutions. Okay, the next example we're going to do is we're going to skip down to number 8. Tried to give you ones where I was working through the larger numbers, so you didn't have to. So I'm going to do 2p squared. My equation has to equal 0, so that means I need to add 21p. I need to add 40, and now my equation equals 0. So what adds to give me 21? But that new step this week, what multiplies to give me 80? And that would be 5 and 16. So now I'm going to expand my trinomial, and I'm going to actually put the 16 with the 2 because I know those both have a factor of 2, but again, it doesn't matter if you put the 5 first or the 16 first. I just try to put them in order where I can kind of see factors a little easier as I'm grouping them. So group 2p is going to be my greatest common factor. I'm left with p plus 8. And then my greatest common factor is going to be 5, and I'm left with p plus 8. So my factors are p plus 8 and 2p plus 5. And we're solving, so I take each factor and set it equal to 0. So p is going to equal negative 8, and p is going to equal negative 5/2. All right, the last example we're going to do together is number 11. So again, it's a quadratic because it has an a squared, but I have to make sure that my equation equals 0. So I'm going to add 65 and add 18. You're going to be so glad I'm doing this one for you. Okay, so what adds to give me 65, but what multiplies to give me 7 times 18, which is 126. Whew, and that would be 2 and 63. I already did this work ahead of time, so I didn't just like, you know, magically come up with that. Plus 63a, plus 2a, plus 18. So I expand my trinomial, and now I'm going to group. So I know 7 and 63 both are divisible by 7, and that's an a. So that's a plus 9. And 2 and 18 are both divisible by 2, and I'm left with a plus 9. So they have a plus 9 in common, and I'm left with 7a plus 2. And that's what we've been doing. And now the only extra step with the solving is you take each factor and you set it equal to 0. So I'm going to get a equals negative 9 and a equals negative 2/7. Okay, so I'm going to have you pause the video, and you guys are going to complete 6, 7, and 9, and then the answers are going to be on the next slides. But again, I'm not pausing the video, you are. Okay, there's your answers for 6 and 7. And again, if you need to look through some of the work, you can just hit pause and do that. Sometimes the hardest part, again, is just finding the numbers that you need to complete the diamond. And then there's 9. So today you're just going to kind of finish the practice questions that are on this copy of notes. Tomorrow you're going to do a Desmos activity that I've created. It's just kind of a card sort. You're putting factors and trinomials and things together. And then Friday is going to be a check-in that you have to turn in. Again, an assignment that you have to turn in through Google Classroom. And then again, next week, we'll do just a lot more factoring. And then we'll just have 2 more weeks of graphing quadratics. And then that last week is just going to be, if you need review time, you're going to use some review time. I'll have some activities, review activities if you need to work through them. And then you'll turn in a benchmark to me. So again, keep in touch, email, text me, and we'll meet again and do something in real time again soon. So stay safe and stay healthy. And keep doing your algebra.